Welcome to the Leaderish Podcast, leadership lessons straight up, with your hosts, Dr. Jen and Regina. Hey, Jen, how's it going?
Hey, Regina. It is so great. Little tired today. I feel like I say that to you every Friday, but today is for a super fun reason because last night we celebrated Tom Purdom, my sweet hubby's 40th birthday, and it was lovely.
Jen, we've been talking about it for 3 weeks. Like it's been on the last 3 episodes. Is it epic?
I know. It was so epic. It was so wonderful. We went to a rooftop 34th floor, nice hotel bar for a drink. I gave him his gift, which is a nice watch. He was shocked. And we walked down the street to a nice steakhouse and had a private room and friends there and a cake and champagne. And he was overwhelmed, and it was in a good way. And it was wonderful.
Oh my gosh, it sounds lovely.
It was. So how are you?
Okay. I'm doing great. I know I always say that, and I know I always say it that way, but disclaimer, this episode today will likely have some 4-letter words and some words that you do not want your children to hear. So I am putting the explicit warning out there right now. I mean, even last week in our episode, we talked about how I really appreciate a good 4-letter word and that has really big meaning. And we don't use them because we're clean and we want to be family friendly. This is not the episode for family friendly. And I'm totally stoked about that.
So I think I kind of remember you telling me that. And I remember getting excited, like, oh, Regina's going to let me cuss, but now it's official and holy shit, I'm excited. So on that note, I was going to start my favorite segment, which is the drink of the day. So Regina, what's in your cup today?
Okay. Well, I wouldn't tell you before. We usually just kind of chit chat and catch up before each episode. And I would not share with you what is in my cup today because I don't have a cup. I have a can. You guys are going to think that I am just so dorky. I love Aldi. I love the Aldi grocery store. Our Aldi grocery store has wine. Now, one thing that I can't get at Aldi is Babe, which is my very favorite wine. It's a Pinot Grigio or a rosé that has bubbles in it. It is to die for. What I can get at Aldi is a rosé that has bubbles in it, and it's called Esperitza.
Oh,
it is a rosé with bubbles.
That you just cracked open, and I love it. I'm double clicking on your video so I can see it. Oh, it's pink. It's adorable.
Mm-hmm. So it's a bubbled rosé. It's a bubbly rosé wine. So it's full wine. It's not like a seltzer or anything like that. It is wine with carbonation. And we decided that we were going to drink today. Because we haven't drank in so many episodes.
We've been letting
since our first
down.
2. I know. I feel like we have not been fun. So today I am fun with my Aldi bubbly rosé wine.
You have absolutely made my day.
I know,
with your 4-letter words and your Aldi bubbly rosé. I am really excited, and I am also drinking today.
What are you drinking?
I have a glass of vino as well, which is funny because we didn't talk about that. Mm-hmm. It is a Sauvignon Blanc. I like to say that very fancy.
I like how you say it so fancy.
And it is the brand Murphy Good. I had never heard of it, but Tom Purdom got it for me, and it's quite delicious.
Well, it sounds delicious. And today, this is the other reason why we're dropping the 4-letter words.
So excited.
Is because our friend, Sara Kubica, is back with us on our 19th episode. We have talked about Sara since our 3rd episode when we talked about Do It Scared. I mean, let's just be really clear. Sara has been part of this episode or this podcast almost every single episode. And she is back today. Welcome, Sara.
Yay! Thank you so much for having me. I think the fucking world of you two and your podcast and that everything that you're doing. So I'm delighted to be back here, and I cannot wait to dive in with you guys.
I'm so excited as well. We are both so pumped, and we knew we wanted to have you back because that episode, I think it's one of our most popular for our listeners. It's one of our most popular, and we ended up talking about fear somehow, some way on almost every episode. And we have said, do it scared as our mantra and repeated that so many times. And Regina, what are you doing? She's disrobing. I'm just teasing.
Getting hot, taking shirts off.
Just a sweatshirt. Don't worry.
I'm so excited and I'm just hot. Like I'm so excited that I'm hot. So I have taken off my sweatshirt and now I'm just sitting here in a beautiful tank top,
And she tried to do that very nonchalantly, but I called her out. So
you did. Thank you.
Let's talk about how you got back on this episode, Sara. So I drinking wine one night, scrolling through Instagram, puppies, outfits, skincare advertisements, all the things. And then I scroll along this quote, and I don't even know that I fully realized it was you at first because the words hit me so hard. I went, damn. Oh, I just have so much to say. But the quote is, maybe the journey isn't so much about becoming anything. Maybe it's about unbecoming everything that isn't really you.
That is like a mic drop quote. And I didn't necessarily come up with the entire quote, right? It resonates with me. I changed it around a little bit to fit what my message is and what I'm trying to practice with my clients. And it's all about the journey of, again, being authentic. And we're at very foundation, we're born authentic. And then over the decades, we pick up so much baggage, so much shit that is not meant for us, that is not about us, that is not true to us. And we're in this quest to become something great. Guess what? You were fucking great and perfect the minute you were born. We have to let go of all of the things that we have accumulated over the years, the roles, the behaviors, the coping mechanisms, the limiting beliefs, the fears. Let that go and unbecome all of this crap that you've picked up over your life, and you become who you always were, who you were meant to be. It's not becoming something else bigger, greater. It's really unbecoming everything that you aren't and letting that go.
And that hit me so hard. I immediately messaged you and said, please get out of my head. This is incredible. I messaged Regina. I shared it on my own Instagram story. I think Tom was sitting beside me and I'm like, Tom, oh my God. Like it, because it's so counter culture, counterintuitive, counterculture for what we think of when we think of being a woman, when Regina and I are at work and we think about building leaders and growing leaders and leadership for ourselves. And
all about adding things, right?
Yes. It's about gaining leadership presence or executive presence. Like we talked about, it's about acquiring titles and things. And never did I think about peel it all back, actually, throw the unneeded stuff away and just get to your true authentic self. That just totally changed my perspective.
And it's like once you I love how you say that, once you peel back those layers, right, of conditioning, programming, and all of this junk that we're holding on to, that's when your authenticity comes through. That's when you can be a true leader, right? If you're riddled with baggage and crap from your childhood and from young adulthood and all of that, these are things that change how we speak to people, that change how we interact with employees or clients or anything. It's when you can peel that away and be truly confident and in love with yourself that you're going to have the ability to gain those titles. It's just how you're flowing to be a good leader, to show up for others. That in my opinion is how that process like can organically work, right? It doesn't have to be work hard, work hard, work hard. You know, work is fun and easy. You just have to be authentic to yourself.
How do you get there?
How do we get there? That's been something I've been working on for like the past 4 years. I was in my mid-30s, I was married, I had 2 beautiful kids, a job that I liked, home, and I'm finding myself unhappy. So I knew in that moment that it was going to be an inside job for me. And I had to get very, very real with myself. And through the process of becoming an employee, of becoming a boss, of getting married, of being a mom, I lost sight as I took on all of these new roles. I lost sight of who authentic Sara was as an adult. So when I started to honor that Sara, it came up for me is that there was a lot even before adult Sara that I had to dig into. I had to go back to my childhood and look at the roles and the beliefs and the behavior patterns that I took on for the past 40 years and decide what about me is not really me. Titles that I took or personal characteristics that are they in line with my values? Things that I have agreed to that may not really be true to me. Had to really get serious on that. Then I went through and I defined actually who I am. What are my values? What do I like to do? What are my dreams? What's important to me? How do I like to spend my time? And I'm starting to redefine who I am. The same Sara that's been there the entire time, but she was crowded with all of these things that other people needed from her, needed her to be, ways that I needed to act, how I had to show up in order to connect with people, make them happy, all sorts of things. And I really started to strip those things away and let my authentic self shine through.
Wow. That's just incredible. And when you were talking earlier, I was thinking about values because we just did an episode on values using Brene Brown's values list and process. And like, where do you start with who you are? And that's kind of what I was thinking about. So I was wondering if you were going to say that. Is that where you started?
Values are so important to me, right? I started with kind of I'll be honest with you, some of those wounds that I had in childhood that caused me to be really kind of a people pleaser. And I knew I had a hard time feeling that I was seen or heard. And I knew that was kind of one of my triggers. So I also know that showing up for people and authentically hearing them, seeing them, and holding space for them is one of my values, 100%. So it's kind of like I look at the things that are important to me and my values, and I kind of, mash them together.
So I love the show up piece because I've talked to Regina about that a lot in this podcast. That's really important for me as well. But for me, but you also can't show up for everyone. Right. You have to choose who are the people in my life that no matter what, I'm showing up for.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that kind of comes into the second part of what I'm calling like my own unbecoming is setting your boundaries. And boundaries can have a negative connotation, right? But personal boundaries are really just a way to teach people how to love you and how to show up for you. And then enforcing those boundaries is kind of that fourth part to that. But what you're saying, Jen, is I like to show up for people, but as long as I'm not going to be resentful, as long as it's not going to drain me, as long as it's not one-sided, who do I want to show up for? So I've surrounded myself with like the most incredible group of friends. A lot of, I probably have lost some friends. I've had some strained relationships because my behaviors have changed, and I'm not so focused on trying to make everybody else happy. I'm focused on making Sarah happy. And I've attracted really an incredible group of girlfriends and a boyfriend.
Ooh,
I know, right?
that's new.
It is.
It is new. I love it. You're saying all this amazing stuff, and we like laser focus in on the boyfriend part because
we can do an episode on him and relationships too, because that's been a whole nother thing for me. But
interesting. Okay, sorry. Keep
day.
going.
No,
I mean, new boyfriend. You just threw that in. It's like you buried the lead, girl. Keep going.
Right. I know.
We're still on boundaries, by the way.
Boundaries, right? So we're enforcing those boundaries, right? And people can kick and scream, and it makes everybody a little bit uncomfortable, right? You've got new behavior patterns, but that means it's working. So keep going. But
can you give me and us an example of, it doesn't have to be a boundary that you've set, but what is a boundary? Because I hear people say that all the time, and I think I know what it is. And I've read the book Boundaries by Dr. Henry Cloud several times. I love it. I've also read Necessary Endings. Love that too, which you just talked about some of those. But what's an example of a boundary?
I can give you examples of boundaries all day long. And sometimes they're not boundaries that I necessarily like have to verbalize with other people. Sometimes a boundary can be as simple as, it is 11 o'clock and I'm tired and I do not want to take any more phone calls tonight. And if somebody calls and I answer that call, now that person's not aware that I set that boundary for myself, but if I answer it, chances are I'm going to be kind of pissy. And I tend to get resentful when I break my own boundaries. So there are boundaries that I set for myself to keep me in a good place. Like, it's not answering the phone. Another boundary is, just expecting people to be honest with you. Another good example is if somebody wants to get together with you and they throw out a date and a time and it doesn't work for you. A lot of times as women, we'll try so hard and show up for our friends and be like, okay, whatever, I'll just make it work. As opposed to protecting your own time, right? You can have a boundary around your own time and say, hey, I would love to see you. That time doesn't work for me. How about, and do you throw out, 3 new dates and times that work? That's kind of a negotiation of boundaries there.
You are in my head again on that last one. Completely in my head again. Now that the world is opening up again, this is something that I really want to work on. And when I think of this idea of unbecoming and the way that I was pre-pandemic and the way during pandemic and now as we're sort of post-pandemic, there's some of that change that I want to keep. Because even though we couldn't do anything during the pandemic, having the freedom to not do anything and to say no was just something that I don't know that I ever experienced before. And that's something I want to take forward into this new life.
So, and I'm actually working on a course around, kind of coming back from the pandemic, whether it be, are you struggling with fear, and re-entering the world, but the majority of it is you define your life now and how you get to pick and choose. Like, we've been given an incredible reset with what we have experienced for the past, year and a half. Are we going to take advantage of it? Or are we going to fall into our old habits? We could say no during the pandemic and not feel guilty. Now we know what that feels like. Are we going to give ourselves permission to do that moving forward? That's your boundary.
Oh, that's so true. And it really ties back, like you said, boundaries is part of unbecoming and really getting to the real you, because the real you and the real Jen is spending her time how she wants to. And that's something, I don't even have kids. And I feel like this is like times 1,000 for moms, but have this idea that my time is actually my own is new and I am keeping it, damn it.
Absolutely. And that's kind of that step 2 that I talked about is, who are you? Who do you want to be? What do you like to do? Honor the fuck out of that, right? That is so important in self-love and really just honoring yourself and unbecoming all of that crap that you've picked up. So Jen, I support that 1000%. 1000.
I love how you just said that too. I'm going to write it on a post-it and stick it on my computer. Honor the fuck out
Honor
of that.
the fuck out of that.
I love it.
Anything,
I love
anything
it.
about you, right? That you love and that you want to grow, you should be honoring, right? And not feel guilty about it. As women, there's so much guilt around us. I don't even know where to start, right? Feel guilty about this, feel guilty about that. Work, kids, time, house, appearance. I don't do guilt. And it still comes in, but I just do not welcome it in in my space in that respect at all, because it serves no purpose at all, except make us feel like shit. I don't have time for that.
Oh, I don't either, but God, I still make time for it
Amen.
somehow.
Well, that's something you can do when that shows up, right? When that guilt shows up for you, say, is this serving me right now? Is this guilt like helpful, or is it really just making me feel like crap? And if it's not helpful for you and it is making you feel like crap, and you're not going to take action to make something better, then get rid of it. Give yourself permission to say, I'm not going to feel guilty about this.
I think my chest is a little lighter after you just said all of that. It's just so crazy. And I think what's amazing is how quickly we can get right back to old behaviors, even if we try to be intentional about kind of unbecoming that behavior. It's just so easy if you let it go. But I guess I didn't think about the link between values. I thought about kind of like we were talking about acquiring things and adding certifications or skills or whatever as like being the best version of you. I guess I thought of values in the same sense, as values will help you like get to what you want to get because you're staying close to your values, but it can be the opposite, and for good reason.
Mm-hmm.
Your values help you say no and get rid of the crap that doesn't serve you. And that is the lesson I'm learning today.
Mic drop. That is 100% correct, Jen. And that's why that first step, like with all my clients, any coaching, right? I don't care what they're here to talk to me about. What are your values? Because that's going to serve as our compass for our entire session, our entire program, right? What are your values? Then what are the pieces that are not you? What are the pieces that are you? And we start to then be able to just kind of craft this existence that is 100% authentic to whoever it is.
None of that is easy. It is way easier for us to become and to add to. It is very difficult to unbecome and to realize the role that you're playing as opposed to who your true authentic self is.
Okay, that just gave me chills, because that immediately made me realize that we end up playing this character in
That's
a play, right? That everybody wants us to be.
Yeah.
I'm the daughter that my parents want. I'm the sister that my sister needs. I'm the mom. I'm the wife. I'm the ex-wife. I'm the employee. I'm okay. And of course, there's pieces of authentic Sarah everywhere, right? But there's a lot more inauthentic that needs to unbecome. And what happens when you make that transformation and really just let go of those roles and behaviors and titles that are not serving you? I will just tell you from my own personal experience is that my life has gotten so much better in like every single area, friendships, family, money, relationships. I don't get angry. I'm not angry that much at all anymore. It's because I'm not worried about what the next thing I'm going to do for somebody to make them happy, because I'm literally always honoring myself. 90% of the time.
Well, when you say yes, and when you feel the people pleasing, and when you're trying to be the daughter that your parents want, the sister that you feel like you should be, the spouse, you feel like the friend, all of it, every single time you are maybe not every time, but most of the time you're dishonoring yourself because you're not even taking into account or maybe even aware of what you actually want.
100%. You don't. You're just on autopilot, pleasing mom and dad, pleasing your siblings, pleasing, and it may come up, right? You're like, well, I don't want to go there for dinner, or no, I don't really want to do that. It may come up in conversation with the various people, but at the end of the day, you still go and do it, right? So, and as soon as that happens, that's when I would get resentful, and I would just kind of be like low key annoyed. But it was my fault, right? Because I'm dishonoring myself and I'm doing what everybody else wants to do. Like, that's not a fun place to live. I'm kind of always on edge. Now I do what Sara wants to do, and it's not low key annoying. It's like super awesome.
But I think what I also hear too is that just because Sara wants to do it doesn't mean that nobody else does. Like, there are things that you
Right.
want to do for your
Mhm.
parents or with your parents. There are things that you want to do with your siblings. There are things that you want to do and you very much enjoy doing with your children. You're not walking through life going, no, 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 it's all about me.
Correct.
And I think that sometimes people get confused by that, right? Like, they think that honoring themselves means saying no to everybody and pushing back on everybody. And, your friend wants to go have drinks and you say no because you'd rather binge watch a show. Well, you make choices every day. Your choices should be true to you and should honor you, but you're also honoring you sometimes by making other people happy.
Yes. And that I'm really glad you brought that up, because it sounds like I'm a Gestapo, right? And I'm like, no, I don't want to go to dinner. No, I don't want to do that. No, no, no. What it has done is made those yeses so much better. And there are plenty of yeses with everybody, with my parents, with my sister, with my friends. There are so many more yeses that just feel even better to me than they did before.
That's a really great point. I'm also glad you brought it up, Regina, because we did talk about showing up for people. And then we're also talking about honoring yourself and sometimes saying no, we're not accepting an invite or whatever that is. But also, the more you do live in authenticity with your values and who you are, people begin to understand what it is you do want to do. And like Sara, you said in the beginning, you have naturally now surrounded yourself with like-minded people now that you've made this transformation, who are probably more likely
to understand,
to do the things that you do want to do, and to understand when you do need to and want to say no.
Absolutely. And I don't get pushback. It's it's not like, well, why don't you want to come with us? And I don't feel they don't make me feel guilty, right? And I don't make them feel guilty if they need to say no. I'm like, you do you. That's awesome. Good for you. We'll do it soon. And they're like, yes. Or, I still find pleasure, obviously, in helping my kids and doing things, that I may not choose to do on my own, but I do it with them. And that makes me happy. Or help if I need to help my parents or talk through things with my sister. Those things very much make me happy and are part of who I am. One of my values is empathy. So it's important for me to show up that way with people, as long as I'm not abandoning myself. So when the key to this enforcing your boundaries is learning what they are, being flexible and understanding compromise, just as long as you're staying true to you. I love my family very much, and it's important to me that they're well and that I help them and that I do show up for them. So as long as I'm being true to myself, we're good.
What you mentioned, there's 4 kind of components of this unbecoming, and one is values and one is boundaries. What are the other
So
two?
the first one is actually writing down all, and I highly recommend this for everybody, is writing down the things that are not you, that you've taken on that are not you. Like I was a people pleaser. I needed to really dial back on that. What other roles and titles? I didn't even have any hobbies. I didn't know where I liked to eat. So I kind of just went with the flow. I like to make everybody happy. I don't care where I am as long as you're good. What about you is really not you? Part one. Part two is actually getting clear on who you are and what are your values? What do you like to do? What are your dreams? What's important to you? I wasn't dreaming. I didn't have life goals. Like, I don't have time for that. I'm way too worried about what everybody else is doing and how they're feeling. And then it was setting boundaries. And it was really, it didn't even have to have like super intense conversations. Boundaries were kind of like contracts I was making with myself in order to honor myself, right? And after that definition of who I was. And then enforcing those boundaries.
Oh, I love it. And yeah, you're right. It's not like, hello, Regina, I have set a boundary and I would like to talk to you about that boundary today. It's more about, hey, you know what? I really can't do that this afternoon, but let's find another time. Or, hey, is this serving either of us anymore? Or something. It's some sort of conversation, but more informal. I knew that this conversation is going to be just incredible. So, Sara, what is one thing they can do in the next 24 hours to start the process of unbecoming everything that does not serve them well?
I'm going to give you two things.
Yes.
And the first one is get clear on what your values are. And whatever that list may be, I started with a real big list and I narrowed it down to like 3 to 5. What are those characteristics that are important to you that really define you?
If anyone needs help with that, episode 17 is exactly that point, Sara. So go back to episode 17, work through that episode and get your values. That's step 1. What's step 2, Sara?
Step 2 is I kind of just reversed them here, but what about you is not you. Go through the things that you have in your life. Is it jobs? Is it your location, your environment, your home decor? What in your life is not really you? Is it a friendship? Is it a romantic relationship? Are you authentic with your family? Look at the areas where you don't feel authentic to yourself and make that list. And then kind of balance it against your values. Then kind of go back and define, who do you want to be? Who are you? And start to, as we unpack the baggage about who we're not, we repack with who we are and who we want to be moving forward. Because guess what? Today is a new day. You get to pick. You can change. Go for it. You have permission. If you don't need it from anybody else, you only need it from yourself. You want to change? Today is the day.
Oh, that's so good. I never would have thought of home decor, but it's so true. We get on Instagram and we go to other people's homes and we feel like we got to keep up with whoever, or it's got to be modern, or it's got to be this. And I just had a mental image of someone deciding they didn't like their home decor and like ripping their curtains off the walls.
I totally support that. If that is in your home and it is not making you happy and it goes against your soul, get it out of there. Go get something that works. Rip it. I love that. That's dramatic. And I'm all about the dramatic, right?
Oh, or if you're like me, you're so indecisive, you've lived in a home for 8 years and still have no curtains. That happens. Still happening.
I would go, and if I were in that position, as I'm in my room right now that has no curtains, but it does have blinds.
I have blinds, just no curtains.
Okay,
same.
So maybe you don't want curtains, and
Same.
that is okay.
Oh, I think I do. For 8 years, I do. I just can't decide.
You do want them.
This
So
is
then
a
I would say,
problem.
what's holding me back from picking out the curtains, from buying the curtains of my dreams? What's holding me back?
Because I am not a decorator. I am not a designer. You should see my house. It is like nothing
You don't need to
special.
be.
And there's so many different options out there. I mean, it is analysis paralysis when you're looking at
I hear you.
curtains.
It is, your house is special. It is your home. I have been there. It is lovely.
You can be a designer if you pick things out in your home that you like. Boom, you just designed it.
Oh, gosh, I don't even know what I like.
Let's go.
I don't even know what I like. I got to go back to the very beginning, Sarah.
That's such an exciting place, right?
I love your perspective. I love your perspective.
It is.
I know what I like. Then let's figure it out, because this is you defining who you are and what your style is. I love that.
Oh my gosh.
Regina.
Yeah, you are.
Oh, maybe we'll go fabric shopping and I'll make my own curtains. This was good. Okay, so four-step process. Four-step process, start to unbecome. So let's talk about how we're filling our cup. It is very important that we are pouring into ourselves. I mean, Sarah, we spent the last 30 minutes talking about that. So Jen, how are you currently filling your cup?
Well, obviously last night was amazing to celebrate Tom Purdum's 40th in a big way. But this weekend, actually, we were going to go cabrewing tomorrow, which is canoeing with beer, but it's going to rain. And so we've rescheduled that. And I am actually thrilled. I'm going to go to my Pilates class. I am going to lay around and watch something or read in the rain. And I'm just going to recharge and rest. And while I'm sad that we're not going cabrewing, recharging and resting is 100% what I need right now. I'm thrilled.
Sarah.
And I like want to go do this right now. I've never heard of it either, and I'm like, where can I go?
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you. Amazing.
Thank you for supporting me. And I've never heard of brewing. Send us an email or leave us a comment on Instagram if you know anything about cabrewing and if you've ever been cabrewing.
I need to know who my people are out there.
I do.
Sarah, what about you? What are you doing to fill your cup?
I have had a hellacious week. I'm not going to lie. It was a lot going on with the kids and work on Monday and Tuesday. I'll tell you what I did yesterday. The kids were with their dad, and I took the day off work, and I spent 2 hours at the beach by myself reading a book, and I did not feel guilty about it. And when I was done, I felt amazing. So I love this idea around allowing ourselves to not do in order to keep going and not feel guilty about slowing down and not shaming ourselves for it. That is some of the best self-care that I can prescribe for myself and anyone else, is to just stop for a while and not feel guilty. It's awesome.
That's amazing. But I think that everybody listening is probably wondering what you were reading.
Oh, yeah, let's talk about it. I was reading The Big Leap, and it talks about how to break through our upper limits, that we all have limits that we set upon ourselves, whether you know it or not. They're most likely there. And it actually, these upper limits keep us from continuing living with abundance, whether it's financial abundance, abundance in love, abundance in creativity. Really is a book about self-sabotage, and I think it is freaking fascinating. And I highly recommend it for anyone that is doing any sort of self-work. The Big Leap.
The Big Leap.
The Big Leap.
The Big Leap. And I think we just added it to our Amazon carts. I know I did, and I know Regina probably did as well.
The author is Gay Hendricks, and I have it on Audible. He does a great read on Audible as well. I take notes when I'm listening to audiobooks. Highly recommend. Great book.
Regina, what are you doing to fill your cup?
Well, Jen, as you know, we have been talking to a few of our friends about the gifts of imperfection. It's actually Brene Brown's Gifts of Imperfection 10th anniversary for that book. She wrote it 10 years ago. And so we have all redone the inventory and we are meeting. And so I put that on the calendar this week for the 4 of us ladies to meet to talk about that and talk about where we are. And I have to tell you, just hitting send on that meeting and setting some coffee time for 4 amazing women to get together and talk about our gifts of imperfection is like filling my cup. I can't wait. We're not meeting for a few weeks, but it's on the calendar and I'm excited about that.
I am so excited about that as well. We all took the wholehearted inventory from the book, and Brene and her sisters on the podcast Unlocking Us are doing a 6-episode series right now. I think episode 4 launched today around the book. And by the time we meet, all 6 episodes will be out. And it's so funny. They talked a lot about boundaries in episode 3. And it was I think the funniest part is that they are all in therapy. And 2 of them are therapists, and then Brene's a researcher, but I think she's also a certified therapist as well. When they talk about boundaries with their therapist, when they really hit the nail on the head, like you did with that quote, Sarah, that they internally go, "You don't know me." And like that's their thing when somebody like really calls them out in life, that they're just like, "You don't know me." And I just can't stop laughing about that. So you'll love it when you get to that part, Regina.
Oh gosh. Well, I am loving the Unlocking Us Gifts of Imperfection episodes. We love Brene anyway, period. Full stop. But then coming together with 3 women that I respect and adore to talk about the gifts that we are cultivating currently and that we're trying to let go of has just gotten me so excited. I can't
Me
wait.
too. So, Sarah, question for you. If our listeners want to work with you directly on you helping them with their own unbecoming and where to start with those 4 steps and really dig in, how can they find you?
I'm all over the place. My website is www.sarah-kubica.com. I can be found on Instagram, just at sarah.kubica, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Clubhouse. I am literally, although I'm not in Clubhouse as much as I used to be, but
same.
Yeah, we should talk about that. And I'm on Twitter as well. So I love, obviously, working with people, coaching people, helping them, through on their journey into their own unbecoming. This is what my book is going to be about. This is what another course that I'm working on is all about. It's all the shedding of the stuff that just does not serve us, not to become anything, but just to be who you are.
Literally, that paradigm shift has impacted me so much, and learning more about it from this conversation has been wonderful. And we will definitely link you in all the places when we release this episode and on our social media as well. If you would like to reach out to us, we would love to hear from you. leaderishpodcast@gmail.com. Send us an email. Let us know when you went kabrewing. Find us on Instagram at Leaderish Podcast, also on Facebook at Leaderish Podcast. And we need 5-star reviews and new ratings on Apple. So if you want to leave us a rating, leave us a comment. We always very much appreciate it if you like what you hear. We always want to hear from you on what you want to hear from us next. So let us know that as well. Oh, what a great episode, Sarah. So freaking good to have you back. We'll have you back again. But as soon as I saw that quote, I sent it to Regina and I'm like, we're doing this. And she's like, oh my God, yes, we are. So cheers, ladies, to unbecoming.
Unbecoming.
Cheers, Jen.
Cheers, ladies. Cheers, Sarah. You're incredible.